So thank you for being here, everyone. Welcome to our monthly Goleta Wrap meeting, where we discuss the impact of homelessness in the city of Goleta and then work together on common solutions. My name is Landon. I work with a nonprofit called SB Act, and this is the partnership with the city of Goleta. So I'm joined by Chuck Flax, the homelessness services coordinator for the city, as well as other city staff present with us, Joanne and others. Um, and this is a part of our partnership throughout the broader South County region. So we'll be talking about some things that are Goleta specific and some things that are region wide. So as we start today, I sometimes like to start our meetings with just this little refresher on kind of how we talk about homelessness in these meetings. You'll hear some language that may or may not be familiar to you. We try to use what we call people first language because it's just helpful for us psychologically to keep in mind that when we're talking about people experiencing homelessness, they're people first. And that's, I think, true of all of us. We don't want to be identified solely by one part of our lives. We use the word homeless, and we are going to use that word primarily, but in reality, a lot of our people experiencing homelessness are more described accurately as houseless, because the majority of people are actually from Santa Barbara County prior to becoming homeless. So just something to keep in mind. We definitely do have people who are passing through the area, but they are in the minority. Mental health and substance abuse certainly do come up a lot on these calls. It's really important for us to talk about. It's also important to note just that in many cases, although we tend to think of it as a cause of homelessness, it can often be an effect of living on the streets. Um, and then just with that, a note that there's not one monolith experience of homelessness. When we're talking about homelessness, we're talking about families. We're talking about people living in vehicles who are holding down jobs. We're talking about people sleeping in the creek bed, but we're also talking about people who are just kind of trying to get back into a rental unit. So lots of different experiences. So that's kind of my spiel. Any questions before we jump in? All right. So we have a couple general announcements before we get into it. So I wanted to note, first of all, there will be a South County-wide regional homelessness meeting that SB Act is hosting on Monday, the 8th at noon. It'll be on Zoom, and it's just a chance to hear about kind of what is going on at the broader regional level around homelessness, and then find ways to get involved as community members looking to participate in solutions. So I think I have a slide later on that has the actual Zoom registration link, and I'll put it in the chat window as well. We also wanted to note the Longest Night Memorial is coming up. Oops. And so this is an annual memorial that happens to commemorate those who passed away unhoused in the last year. It's a chance to read the names of those who passed away on the streets. So we are actively adding names to the list, but we also encourage you just to use this link to actually RSVP for the event. It'll be on the longest night of the year, as it always is, which is the 21st of December, starting at 5:15 p.m. at the Santa Barbara County Courthouse under the Archway. So we encourage you to join us. If you are a homelessness services provider, we also encourage you to help us by sharing names so that we can correctly name as many people who passed away in this last year as we're able to. Otherwise, I put the longest or the wrong link in the chat. There it is. Any questions about the longest night? All right. Here's the link for the South County wide regional meeting, and then I'll put that in the chat window as well for you to RSVP. Once again, we'll be talking about kind of all the different initiatives throughout all of South Santa Barbara County working on this issue. And then lastly, the last thing on the calendar for everybody was just a note that our next meeting altogether will be, right now it's scheduled for the week of Christmas. We'll touch base maybe as that gets a little closer to see if that still works for our team. We're typically on the fourth Monday of the month. We did want to just make a note that the warming centers are active. So every year on November 15th, Santa Barbara County and Good Samaritan open up extra shelter beds through local faith communities when we meet one of the following conditions that are listed on the screen. So either below 35 degrees or more than 50% chance of rain. So it's not every night during the season, but It is just a note. It's worth saving that number in your phone if you haven't already, because it's a way that you can check and find out if they are open on any given night. You can also join their email list by sending an email to fwc@goodsamaritanshelter.org. Um, and it's just good to help spread the information. Any questions about this or any of the events we've mentioned so far? All right. So the last thing was what Chuck was mentioning earlier, which was that World Homeless Day was October 10th. And so the South Santa Barbara County participated. The city of Goleta was a part of this, along with CityNet and Path and a couple of other partners. And we were able to record some really cool testimonials from people who are either currently or formerly homeless, just about their experiences with homelessness in Santa Barbara County. We're really just trying to help spread these stories around. They're very short. Each one is about 90 seconds long. But I do want to really encourage everybody to check it out. I'll put the link in the chat window. And the goal is really to just help us to find kind of our commonality as neighbors in this county. So I encourage you to check it out, spread the stories around. All right. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chuck to give general updates from the city. And then Chuck, I also have on the agenda to talk about Caltrans clearings because I believe there were some scheduled.
Yes. Oh, and I sent that out. I think that already occurred. Am I right
Okay.
about that? Yeah. Um, Maybe while I'm presenting the data, you can find the email on that. Um, let's see. I'm going to share if that's okay. Can people see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this, for people who haven't been to the meeting before, this is something I do every month, based on, I guess, three primary data sources. One is the homelessness management information system. The other is what is called the coordinated entry system list, which is regularly run by the county. And then I have my own list of people that I call the by name list, which includes people who aren't officially in the homelessness system, just as so that we can keep track of some people who we're trying to get to take advantage of services or who we're concerned about, just generally. Um, so let's see. So the big blue bar here for the last 3 months is the total number of people that are in our system that are considered Goleta. And I do omit the Isla Vista numbers. So we're at 122 for the month of October. The other bars have stayed pretty consistent really all year. Roughly 40 people in encampments, 38 people in shelter, and 45 or so people who are living in their vehicles who are participating with homelessness services. In terms of total number of vehicles being tracked, you can see that we've seen a pretty steady increase over the year. So this is April through October, and the most recent numbers are 266 total vehicles observed, with likely inhabited by people. 192 in Western Goleta, so kind of west of the airport, and then 74 in Eastern Goleta. This is a way of tracking our inflow and outflow of homelessness. So we have, people who are newly identified, or our inflow of people, and people who are housed or people who have moved out of homelessness. And the last couple of months, we've seen quite a few new people. Just in the last 3 months, we've seen 30 people identified, newly identified, 140 for the year. In terms of people getting housed, the last 3 months we've housed 12 people. And over the course of the year, 70 people have been housed. And as you can see, we maintain a kind of ongoing rate of 2 people become homeless for every person that we house, which can feel very discouraging for all of our organizations on here on the call, people out there working with our folks. It's also, it makes it's challenging. The good news is that we are likely to see 130 units built going up in the next year. with 30 coming online, hopefully before the end of this year, although it's already November, so we'll see. It's the Housing Authority, County Housing Authority has a project called Patterson Point with roughly 30 units. And then Heritage Ridge is a new project they're still grading, and I don't know when they're actually going to start really building. But the word is that it will finish out sometime before the end of 2026, and that's 100 units. So the hope is that we'll see quite a few more people housed over the next year. And then in terms of special populations, all of these folks are actually eligible for some special benefits, which is why we report on them. Um, of 122 people that we've identified, 55 are seniors. So, 45% of our population are seniors, which is a very high number, much higher than the rate of seniors 55 plus in the general county. In terms of transition age youth, we have 6. That's, probably lower than like in Santa Barbara or in Santa Maria, where I think there are higher concentrations of youth who are homeless. And then we keep creeping down on the number of veterans. We have one last veteran that we're tracking who has, the way veteran services works is almost any veteran who wants housing can get it. And so then it's a process of working with them to make it all work and line up for them. And so I know this person is in shelter. He's, we hope to see him housed relatively soon. Chronic homelessness is when a person is disabled and has been homelessness in basically a year continuously or longer. And it generally around the country, chronic homelessness is not the majority of people experiencing homelessness. However, in Goleta, as you can see, 61% of our population are homeless or chronic. Often people who are chronically homeless are much more difficult to find services for and much more difficult to find housing for. And so it is a real concern for us. And then I've just recently updated our income numbers. There's an interesting sort of phenomenon going on. So 47% of people have no income. You would expect it to be higher if you were just sort of thinking about homelessness. So over half have some source of income. And then the purple bar that appears 16%, those are people making up who have over $2,000 a month. Now that's not necessarily enough for rent, but that's really hopeful. And so it might be enough to get them into shared housing. And so we're working with a group called Partners in Housing Solutions. I don't know if they're on the call today, but they're working with people who have income, or they're working with private landlords to try to find them housing. And, any income is better than no income. And what we see too is that, 42% of the folks are working. So that's also very encouraging. And so the hope is, we can help people grow their income, figure out ways to possibly get into some kind of shared situation. So I find these numbers sort of pleasantly optimistic. Let's see. So Landon, I think you're going to need to turn me off.
I'm working on it. There we go.
Are we out of the sharing mode? Good.
We are.
In terms of what I've observed in Goleta, I'm doing a count, evening count. I've done 3 nights. I'm going to do another tonight of vehicles in the Phelps and Pacific Oaks area. This is an area that we've received a lot of concerns from residents about. Our council is concerned about it, and city manager. And so I'm going to be making an internal report on that later this week. And then, I know that there are people on the call who may have specific questions and concerns, and we will get to those. In terms of just sort of trends, I'm not seeing anything steadily increasing or decreasing, with the exception of the number of vehicles that we're counting. So any questions about my presentation, let's hold questions on that, relate to sort of more specific issues until we get, and maybe we should just move on. Landon, move on. We can get the providers, and then people can raise their concerns.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chuck.
Yeah, thank you.
So there will be time for questions in just a few minutes here. First, we want to hear from all of our outreach providers about the work they've been doing. Chuck, I also was not able to find any communication about the Caltrans clearings. So if you're able to dig that up while we have the service providers check in, that would be great. So why don't we start with
Will
the
do.
safe? Thank you. Let's start with the safe parking team with Cora.
Well, since it took me forever to get on here, you probably already know that Cora's not here and you got Deborah instead. So, and I'm sitting in on this meeting for her, only I didn't get a report from her. I know that we've all been, out in Goleta a lot, and I know that our lots out in Goleta are very close to full, with the exception of the women's lots. And of course, I do have questions um, for Chuck about his presentation, which I will wait on, but it is, it is true. We've got new people coming in. I agree with all of that. And we're doing the best we can to get everybody into some place that they can be park safe, and then we can get them into housing ultimately. So we've got a great housing team working here, and we're really thinking outside the box, and we're trying to encourage people to look at all options, throughout the state and throughout other states. And, there's some beautiful, brand new, good quality housing available in places, not too far away. So, it's a work in progress, but we're getting it done.
Well, thank you, Deborah. And just for people who are new on the call, would you be willing to share kind of the general regions that safe parking does outreach in the city of Goleta?
Well, the hot spots. We're still working on all the hot spots. But sometimes we get phone calls from, so, that is Phelps, and that is the gym out by the DMV, and just any streets that anybody happens to mention, right? We get calls for people that just suddenly appear somewhere, and so we go out and talk with them. But we try to, break lead up and cover all areas. And if we're missing an area, please, you guys do a great job, but please just let us know.
Thank you, Deborah. All right, let's go to our CityNet team who does general homelessness outreach throughout the city.
Hi, this is Ellen. I was out sick for about 3 days last week, so it was a slow week. Just from that, we were able to get two folks into the tiny homes, which was really exciting. So I went and checked on them this morning, and they are doing well. So I'll be collaborating with Good Sam on their case management. Definitely a lot more people are expressing interest in shelter now because the weather's getting colder, and as you know, the shelters are pretty impacted right now. So we're just kind of trying our best and, helping people get blankets and tarps in the meantime. Um, Letting them know about the warming centers. And there's going to be the one in IV. So um, I think people will be more inclined to go there than they have been inclined to go downtown. Um, just checking to see if there's anything else. I know our HAP team has been focusing on that kind of like Nolita area, on the 154, which isn't really Goleta, but it does get like attention from Goleta residents. So Jordan's been going out there and working with them. And I was made aware of the clearings. I don't know many camps in those areas, so I think we'll be a little short-staffed this week from Thanksgiving, but trying to make it out there this week to just see who's there before they post those. I think that's it for me right now.
Ellen, I just want to commend you and your team, and in front of my boss, Joanne Plummer. And I am going to write this up internally and see if it's something that wants to be spread more widely. But the two people that Ellen are referring to, and we typically don't mention specifics, but this was one that was very visible. Maybe I don't have to get too specific, but it was some people on a sidewalk publicly in Goleta that many people were aware of, and very sweet people that are chronically homeless that Ellen and many others have been working with, including members of our county staff. And the big news is that they were able to get them into La Posada, which is it's a beautiful shelter. And I don't know if everybody here on the call has been there, but the governor's representative for homelessness miscalled it housing. It isn't permanent housing, but as far as shelters go, it's a really good alternative. And I'm thrilled that they chose to go, and I'm really happy that CityNet was able to help those folks, because we in the city were in a position where we really had to clear them. I mean, they were blocking the sidewalk. So Thank you to everybody who was involved.
That's great. Thank you. Let's go ahead and go to the Good Samaritan ARPA team. This is also general homeless outreach in the city.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jose with Good Samaritan ARPA. Last week, our main focus was supporting our clients with doctor's appointments and court. We also supported clients in Lompoc, and we were also able to get some supplies for the warming shelters. We also had 2 new intakes last week, and we continue to get our clients document ready. We engaged with 30 of our clients last week. That is it for ARPA. Thank you.
Thank you. And then let's go to the Good Samaritan Surf 2 team focused on waterways and creeks.
Hello, this is Destiny from Surf 2. Last week, the team was able to house 2 individuals into Buena Terra and a family of 4 into permanent stable housing. Our main focus was on assisting with move-in for these individuals and making sure they feel supported as they slowly adjust to self-sufficiency. That is our update for the week. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Why don't we go to Deputy Warden if you have any updates?
The only particular update I have is that the Union Pacific clearing that was scheduled for the end of last week was canceled because of the weather. And so they're going to reschedule for sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So it's that portion between Modoc and Turnpike.
Okay.
That's the 154 area that Alan mentioned. Also, I have posted in the chat the actual clearings, including the Santa Barbara clearings. This is for the Caltrans right of way. So you can see that the postings are going to happen on the 1st, and the removals will happen between the 3rd and the 5th. And then I wanted to acknowledge Gina Carroz is on the call. Gina is the relatively new Partners in Housing Solution case manager. So Gina, do you have anything to report about Goleta clients? I know there are at least 5 Goleta clients that you are working with. Is that right? She may have had to step away.
There's more than that.
Oh.
Just returning from, I was in Cincinnati, Ohio for the week last week for the
Wow.
National Coalition for the Homeless conference. So hoping to get a couple of them permanently housed this week. I was hoping to do it before I left on that mission, but it didn't happen. So I'm hoping to get that done this week. And these are the clients that you were talking about in the beginning, Chuck, the ones that do have somewhat of an income. Sometimes the barriers are because they had been previously evicted or, didn't have such good credit. So that's where we link up with the personal landlords and we assure them that we're here we'll follow them for a year and make sure, if something does happen financially that we can help support them. And then there's incentives too for them to take the client on. So.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gina. All right. Why don't we go to Mary? You can share updates about your meal provision.
Just to assure you that we will be meeting tomorrow, and we have a Thanksgiving meal planned for them tomorrow. And it looks like nice weather. And for those of you who don't know what we do, we provide a hot lunch every Tuesday out in Isla Vista at the Isla Vista Community Center. And we also provide clothing and to-go food. So we had about 45, I think, last week. So it's a special faith-based mission.
Thanks, Mary. All right.
The time? What time do you meet?
We're all set up by 11. We usually start the meal at around 11:20 after a short time of we read a psalm or a Bible reading and then have a prayer for the meal. And usually about 11:20 we start serving, and by 12 o'clock sometimes the food is gone. So we tell people to get there by 11:30.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So with that, let's go ahead and open it up for any questions from the general public, questions or areas of concern.
I think, Deborah, you had questions about the data, which we can bring back if you need to.
Well, I'm just curious, and probably you've discussed this before, but the data on housing, is that coming through the coordinated entry system? I wonder because, there's also there's always other things going on too. And so I'm wondering if the housing, what data source you're using to gather your housing numbers.
I'm not showing people housed, so maybe I'm not sure what your question is. So I don't have a.
Didn't you
Go
have some
ahead.
data on how many people had been housed this last week?
No.
Oh,
I don't. Oh, do I do that? Maybe I do. Hold on a second. Let me bring it
that's
up. Here it
okay.
is. Here it is again. Um, yeah. Okay. I can tell you more about how that's done. I'll share it really quick.
I mean, they're good numbers,
Yeah.
but I
No,
also,
they're not great. They're not great numbers.
well, I was going to say
Yeah.
they're good numbers, but I think there could possibly be even more going on than that. And
Well, I think
I want
they're.
to make sure you're getting all the numbers you
Yeah. Well, and we could possibly talk more offline about this, but the way I do it is, um, every, I'm pretty much throughout the month checking people's status of people that I know are homeless in Goleta and seeing if they've been housed. And so I track on a month-to-month basis the number of people that have been housed. Can people see can people see that chart?
We do see it. And
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
wondered too, if I might be more helpful in the locations because, our location, there's people in our safe parking lots in Goleta that I'm sure get housed that may not show up the way the data may not be getting through to you because
Yeah.
yeah.
We could talk about it. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, I don't think my data is inaccurate in the sense that the flow is really the people that are coming into HMIS and the people that are going out of HMIS.
Okay. So it is
and it is
HMIS.
possible
Okay.
that you have people that I don't have a record of. I've asked the county to kind of give me agency by agency numbers, but that's really above and beyond the rights of a city. We're not allowed really to get all that detail. But I'd love, yeah, we could talk more offline about that.
Because I just think it could be that location thing that's messing
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
That's
great.
that was my only thought is the
Yeah.
way that I know that we sometimes do the location thing might be throwing your numbers off a little bit.
Okay.
You're right about people
Yeah.
coming in though. And the cars that you're seeing out in Goleta, the 120 something people that were current for this year, they're all in Fulcrum. Have you ran Fulcrum to make sure we're not missing anybody?
Yes, it's Fulcrum so that large count is based on the New Beginnings
Okay.
Fulcrum data. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm a little bit behind the Goleta numbers right now. So.
Yeah, and I've been impressed with your team because they've been regularly updating those numbers. They seem pretty current, which is great.
Yeah, they're great. All right, thank you so much.
Linda, did you take me off sharing?
I can do that now.
Okay.
I was curious though, Chuck, going back to the chart of inflow and outflow from homelessness, it does look like there was a large spike in October of last year as well.
Yes.
I didn't know if that's a trend or if, yeah.
I don't know what, yeah, I mean, I can't explain the trend. It's a 2 data point trend.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, maybe next October we'll see if it's still happening. I really couldn't say. I mean, it could be one theory one could have is the market does change in the fall, the housing market. Students come back. The rents may in fact be increasing at that period. And so that may be one of the reasons why we're seeing more folks. I couldn't tell you. It's a sociological question that I don't have enough information to figure out.
Does your data give you any kind of residency history on these people? Like, are they people coming here because the weather's not as miserable, or is it long time Santa Barbarians or?
So prior to the changeover in HMIS, that's a great question, Deborah. Part of the change in HMIS, we did have data on people's stated reason for becoming homeless. I don't know if I haven't seen that data yet from the county, and I think they're still working with it. So that's a kind of a hoped for question. It was like, well, how did you become homeless, or where are you coming from? So keep that question. I'd like to follow up on that too.
Thank you.
Looks like you have a hand up from Gina.
Hi, Chuck. I was just curious, like your data shows like the people that are housed monthly. What if they fall out of their housing? Are you tracking that as well?
I am. If they return to homelessness in Goleta, and are tracked that way, like so that they say I'm in Goleta and I'm homeless, then they would show back up in my numbers as newly homeless. So when they're housed, I take them off my list, and if they become homeless again, I put them back on my list.
Okay. But they would have to be contacted by somebody who would put that into the
Right.
coordinated entry, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to take Chuck off sharing unless anyone has other questions. We want to see the data. Other questions or concerns from the community? All right. I'm not seeing any.
I guess I have a concern I can share.
Great. Go ahead, Stephen.
I'm Dr. Stephen Buslin. I'm the primary care doctor in Isla Vista. And I have, as you might imagine, quite a number of unhoused patients. I've been trying to advocate for them, and I've been running into a difficulty. There's a man who goes through Gersh Park and also he says he's a security guard, but I've spoken with the executive director of Gersh Park. They're not paying him to do it. He goes up Pacific Oaks harassing homeless people, and then he goes into the Camino Real shopping center. Same thing. During the big storm that was going on 2 Saturdays ago, he told a homeless person taking shelter in front of a store that was closed that he was trespassing and needed to leave. Everything I've been able to find out about this guy, he does not seem to be employed by the Camino Real shopping center. And the first time I tried to speak with him, I was walking my dog and walking down a sidewalk by Gersh Park. And I asked him, what are you doing? And the woman in his truck, maybe his wife, her response was, I'm calling the police. This is not somebody you can even start a conversation with. That time, I did not see any sheriff's deputies come, but 3 times since then, he's called them on me, and I keep explaining to them that he does not seem to be employed by the park or the shopping center, and he certainly, it's a city street. I don't think he's employed by the city. But he goes around harassing people, making them, like the guy 2 Saturdays ago, had to head out into the rain with his dog and his little backpack and his bicycle.
Joanne, I don't know if the city. So we received your letter, Dr. Buslin, and I've sent it up through my leadership to Joanne, and she will take it up with her supervisors, because we're uncertain how to necessarily respond to your question without going a little deeper into finding out if in fact this person is employed, and if in fact he's doing anything. If he wasn't employed to do these things, is it against the law to do these things? So this is the first time hearing of this, so I appreciate your raising the issue. I don't know if Joanne, you have any other comment.
No, we'll go ahead and check into it. As Mr. Flax mentioned, we did receive the email that Councilmember Kasdan sent to you.
He is so helpful.
And we'll go ahead and take a deeper dive into that and see what we can find out and kind of go from there. But I think as the council member indicated, it's on private property. So when it's on public property, then we usually have more information that we can share. But when it's on private property, it's a little bit different. I don't know if Connor has anything he'd like to share. But we're happy to look into it and see if we can find out anything.
I reached out to Sergeant Rivas with the sheriff's office, and he actually recommended I contact Deputy Warden Connor. I left him a message over the weekend. I don't know if he's even had a chance to listen to voicemails yet.
Can you describe that truck you see out there?
It's a large white pickup truck with an ungodly number of lights on it. One of the sheriff's deputies said that it says security on the back of it. It doesn't have any company name on it. So um, I'm really wondering if he's flouting the regulations around being a security guard. Because in order to, if you're pretending to be a security guard or leaving people with the impression that you are and you aren't, it's one of those wobbler legal situations where it's either a misdemeanor or a felony. I've asked the sheriff's deputies, have you ever seen anything that indicates that he's actually a, a licensed security guard? And they just keep telling the same thing to me of, well, we've known him for years. We work with him all the time. And I understand familiarity, but I really wish somebody would just say, hey, show us your license.
All right. Well, thank you for raising this. Sounds like we've got a couple different people looking into it further. Really appreciate.
Yeah, I don't want you to feel like we're not paying attention, Dr. Busselin. I will follow up.
Oh, I totally feel like I'm getting ample attention. This is great. Thank you.
Great.
Sorry to take up so much time.
Thank you for advocating for the unhoused on that matter too.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry to take up so much of the time here.
Oh, no. That's what this meeting is really for.
Are there while we're here, any other community concerns?
Landon, I would just like to thank Ellen for getting that couple off of the street there. I'm assuming we're talking about the couple in front of Target, because I've been very concerned about that. And so if that's who you moved into La Posada, Ellen, congratulations, a huge congratulations.
Yeah, it was them. Thank you. I think it was a lot of coordination to get the beds available for them. I think we were with them for about 5 hours on Friday, going through belongings.
Maybe 2.
Nice work, team. All right, not seeing anyone else. So if not, we can go ahead.
Sorry, I'm on my phone today, so I can't figure out how to work it. But just 2 things. Dr. Busselin, I didn't receive a voicemail from you, so I don't know if you have my right number. I threw that in the chat. So if you'd like to call me to make sure you have the right phone number, just look in the chat. That's my phone number. I just want to make sure.
Excellent. Thank you.
Correct one, because I didn't receive a voicemail. And then the second thing is that individual, I know for a fact, is employed by the Marketplace Shopping Center. I've never dealt with Gersh Park Executive Board, so I don't know if he's employed by them or not, but I do know he's employed by Marketplace.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. All right, everybody. If there's nothing else, we can go ahead and sign off. Just wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And as a reminder, we will meet again sometime in late December, but there's a couple more events between now and then. So we'll be in touch via email. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.